There is something sitting in your kitchen right now that has survived countless plagues and toppled powerful empires.
It crossed dangerous oceans inside the bellies of warships and infiltrated every single culture on Earth.
Carried by Persian warriors and weaponized by American housewives, it quietly shaped the entire global economy.
You have eaten it 1,000 times without ever questioning its bizarre and wildly fascinating history.
Try this one. It's my grandmother's recipe, fresh this morning. I hope you all enjoy.
We are talking about cookies, not the digital trackers that constantly haunt your everyday web browser.
These actual physical sweet discs have become the universal language of human comfort and late-night vulnerability.
They sit in Tokyo gas stations, Moroccan wedding ceremonies, and military rations across war zones today.
They hide safely in the small pockets of excited preschoolers living far away in vibrant Brazil. No other food achieved planetary dominance with so little fanfare, while historical bread gained massive reverence. Chocolate proudly features its own origin documentaries, but cookies simply slipped into global ubiquity unnoticed. Here is the unsettling truth. Cookies were never initially invented to be delicious or enjoyable treats.
They were created out of pure paranoia from the critical need to test oven temperatures safely.
They started as throwaway scraps, serving as an insurance policy and the culinary equivalent of rough drafts. Somehow, that accidental mistake became the most successful and widespread food category in human history. How does a quality control hack become the secret recipe your grandmother guards like state secrets? How does a practical afterthought transform into a massive multi-billion-dollar industry spanning every continent today? The real answer involves much more than simple sugar and flour mixed together in proper proportions. It involves war, migration, economic collapse, technological accidents, and one very specific moment in American history. But we must go way back in time before sugar was cheap and ovens were predictable.
Back before anyone thought to combine butter and flour into something you would actually want to eat.
7th century Persia stood at its absolute historical height, controlling vital trade routes connecting the Mediterranean region. Somewhere deep within the wealthy kitchens, creative bakers began doing something revolutionary with available sweet ingredients.
They experimented with actual crystallized sugar instead of relying solely on heavy honey or fruit pastes.
This rare and expensive commodity started trickling in from the distant Indian subcontinent through trade caravans. They mixed it with flour, fresh eggs, and rose water to create small, flat, twice-baked cakes. These early items were specifically designed to last for several weeks without spoiling in hot weather. These early creations were not cookies as we know them today, remaining hard, dense, and purely functional. Yet they held one critical survival advantage because they did not rot away over long periods. In a world lacking refrigeration, armies marched for months and traders sailed across oceans for years. You could easily carry these little cakes in your saddlebag or shiphold for immediate consumption. They remained completely edible when you finally arrived at your distant destination after arduous sea voyages. They provided portable calories that remained compact and durable, functioning essentially as pure life-sustaining survival fuel. Persian bakers were certainly not the only clever culture working on this exact same brilliant idea. Chinese bakers concurrently created their own versions using almond-based wafers sweetened with maltose for travelers. These particular wafers were expertly designed for long, grueling journeys along the historic Silk Road trading tracks. These items were never meant to be desserts, acting purely as practical logistics solutions for travelers. They answered a very old problem regarding how humans feed people without predictable food supply sources.
This is where the historical narrative takes a fascinating turn, because these early baked goods spread globally.
They did not spread because people simply loved them, but rather through the sheer force of conquest. As the Islamic Golden Age expanded westward, specialized culinary recipes traveled alongside merchant and military caravans. Persian baking techniques collided with Moorish Spain, where almonds grew abundantly and sugar production ramped up. Within those collision points, bakers stopped making only functional travel rations and started experimenting with new flavors. They added exotic spices, adjusted delicate textures, and officially turned basic utility into pure culinary pleasure. By the time European crusaders returned from the Middle East during the 11th and 12th centuries onward, they brought back much more than simple war wounds and intense religious fervor from foreign campaigns.
They brought back a sophisticated taste for sweets, spiced baked goods, and intricate pastries feeling luxurious.
European bakers, particularly across Italy and France, took those brilliant imported ideas and ran with them.
Suddenly, these sweet items were no longer reserved for soldiers, becoming exclusive status symbols for wealthy elites.
A massive problem remained because refined sugar continued to be insanely expensive throughout medieval European society. It was a luxury product, tightly controlled by a handful of powerful Venetian merchants dominating Eastern trade chains. If you wanted to bake sweet items in medieval Europe, you needed serious financial backing and resources. That economic reality meant these treats stayed strictly niche, exceptionally elite, and entirely rare for common folk. Everything changed permanently until one very specific historical event arrived to rewrite global economic supply chains. The year is 1492, as Columbus successfully sails west across uncharted dark ocean waters.
While everyone focuses on the discovery of the Americas, what truly matters here involves the Columbian Exchange.
This represented the massive planetary transfer of crops, animals, and vital agricultural resources between two worlds.
Sitting right at the absolute center of that historic exchange was valuable sugarcane agricultural production.
Spanish and Portuguese explorers quickly realized the Caribbean and Brazil possessed the perfect tropical climate for sugarcane.
More importantly, they secured access to forced labor populations to make sugar production wildly and brutally profitable.
Within a single century, sugar transitioned from a rare luxury item into a widely available global commodity.
Prices collapsed dramatically, and what was once reserved for aristocrats suddenly became accessible to the growing middle class.
When sugar finally becomes cheap and widely available across society, people begin baking in massive quantities.
The 17th century witnessed an absolute explosion of diverse regional baking recipes across the European continent. The Dutch created spiced shortbreads stamped skillfully with intricate wooden molds known for distinct cultural heritage designs. German bakers developed anise-flavored Springerle cookies, featuring detailed embossed designs baked onto firm surfaces. British bakers refined traditional shortbread styles, leaning heavily into rich butter as their primary star baking ingredient. Italians perfected biscotti by doubling down on twice-baked methods, ensuring maximum structural crunch and durability.
every single region and culture started iterating constantly on the same basic idea of flour, fat, and heat.
Here is the crucial catch, because these historical cookies still did not resemble modern treats today. They remained hard, dry, and explicitly designed to last for long periods without losing structural integrity. People routinely dunked them into hot tea or coffee because eating them straight would break your teeth. They were still fundamentally about preservation and making items that could sit in storage tins for months.
The soft, chewy, melt-in-your-mouth cookie we know today simply did not exist during this period.
That evolution required a very particular technological shift happening within a very particular industrialized country setting.
We jump forward in time to the late 19th century, during rapid American industrialization transforming daily life.
Railways connected distant coasts, while large factories churned out manufactured goods at an unprecedented commercial scale.
Right in the middle of this progress, something strange began happening inside everyday American home kitchens.
Baking powder was invented, closely followed by baking soda, creating chemical leavening agents for home cooks. These chemical agents allowed bakers to create lighter, airier, and more tender baked goods without heavy labor. Suddenly you could make a cookie that was not a rock, creating something soft and tender. You could make something that melts in your mouth and feels deeply indulgent rather than purely functional. At that exact same time, another massive shift occurred as the American cookbook publishing industry boomed. Publishing houses realized middle-class women were hungry for reliable recipes and domestic mastery guidance everywhere. Cookies became the ultimate vehicle due to their incredible simplicity, flexibility, and ease of preparation. They were exceptionally easy to teach, customize, and make in large bulk batches for family gatherings.
You could bring a tin of homemade cookies to church socials or school events to signal competence.
Bringing baked goods to a neighbor instantly signaled generosity, deep care, and high domestic social standing. Cookies transformed rapidly into powerful social currency, and major commercial companies quickly noticed the massive financial opportunity.
In 1930, Ruth Wakefield owned the Toll House Inn in Massachusetts while baking butter cookies.
She was in a hurry and chopped up a Nestlé semi-sweet chocolate bar for her dough.
She expected the chocolate to melt and disperse evenly like cocoa powder, but the chunks held their shape. Instead of scrapping the imperfect batch, she decided to bake them anyway and observe the final result. The final result created the legendary chocolate chip cookie, standing as the single most iconic creation in modern history. Ruth Wakefield did not patent the recipe immediately, choosing instead to publish it freely in local newspapers. She watched as her accidental creation spread like wildfire across American households and community bakeries everywhere.
Nestlé saw the incredible business opportunity and struck a unique agreement with her regarding product packaging rights.
They agreed to print her recipe on every package of chocolate bars in exchange for lifetime chocolate supplies.
It stands as one of the most lopsided business deals in American history, yielding billions for Nestlé.
Beyond corporate profits, it successfully transformed the chocolate chip cookie into a permanent global cultural icon.
It became the default standard that every American child grew up eating, baking, and instantly recognizing everywhere. It transformed into pure nostalgia, packaged in edible form for generations of families around the world.
as American culture spread globally after World War II through movies, music, and international military presence. By the 1980s, you could easily find delicious chocolate chip cookies in Seoul, São Paulo, and Stockholm. They were no longer merely American treats, having officially established themselves everywhere across the populated globe.
Let us not pretend this expansion was entirely gentle and organic, because cookies were literally weaponized during conflicts.
During World War II, the United States military included cookies directly inside standard soldier field ration packs. They proved dense, calorie-rich, shelf-stable, and exceptionally effective for boosting frontline troop morale during combat. Troops deployed across Europe, the Pacific, and North Africa carried these survival cookies with them everywhere. When the war finally ended, returning soldiers brought home powerful cravings, lasting memories, and wartime habits. They held a strong desire to recreate the small comforts experienced during the worst moments of combat.
The post-war economic boom saw commercial cookie consumption skyrocket to unprecedented heights across the nation.
Major brands like Nabisco, Keebler, and Pepperidge Farm industrialized production to supply massive consumer demand efficiently. Mass production-made cookies readily available in every supermarket, gas station, and neighborhood corner store worldwide.
Convenience quickly became king because homemade cookies remained deeply beloved while facing stiff commercial retail competition. You no longer needed to bake at home to enjoy cookies because store shelves offered instant purchasing options.
As global economic integration accelerated in the late 20th century, the cookie's planetary conquest accelerated too.
Major fast food chains like McDonald's successfully added warm-baked cookies directly to their global menus.
Sandwich franchises built entire brand identities around the irresistible smell of freshly baked cookies in stores. Famous sandwich cookies became the best-selling sweet product globally, easily outselling every competing brand margin. These iconic snacks succeeded not merely because of taste, but through precise engineering for global scalability. They were engineered for absolute consistency, instant brand recognition, and seamless international manufacturing scalability everywhere today. Cookies transitioned far beyond simple food items, becoming valuable corporate intellectual property and marketing tools. They served as sophisticated Trojan horses designed to secure permanent brand loyalty from everyday consumers worldwide. Here is the specific part that should make you pause and reflect on your own habits.
Cookies are scientifically designed to hijack your brain's reward centers, and this happens quite literally.
The precise combination of fat, sugar, and salt triggers powerful dopamine releases in your brain. This represents the exact same neurological pathway that becomes activated during strong addictive drug reward responses. Modern food scientists understand this neurological science completely and optimize every commercial recipe specifically for it. Every texture, flavor balance, and melt-in-your-mouth moment is engineered to make you want another. That scientific engineering works remarkably well because the average citizen consumes hundreds of cookies per year.
The global cookie market is worth more than $30 billion annually on international trade exchanges.
It stands as one of the most profitable food categories, originating from a simple baker test scrap.
The deeper emotional truth remains that cookies are never just about taste alone or physical sustenance.
They are entirely about personal memory, cherished ritual, and the emotional moments we strongly associate with them.
Think of the grandmother who baked fresh snickerdoodles every Sunday afternoon for her visiting family members.
Think of the teacher who handed out cookies as positive reinforcement for good behavior in school.
Think of the difficult personal breakup you survived with a sleeve of cookies and milk.
Cookies are deeply encoded directly into our complex emotional architecture as condensed comfort food items. That explains precisely why they conquered the world so thoroughly without relying on nutritional superiority arguments.
They did not conquer nations because they were sophisticated, but because they offered emotional efficiency.
They represent the most emotionally efficient food humans ever created, delivering instant happiness under 3 minutes. They require zero complex preparation, no specialized utensils, and absolutely no formal dining ceremony to enjoy.
They remain entirely democratic, universally accessible, and instantly satisfying for everyone across all modern societies.
They are never going away from human culture, because their psychological appeal remains permanently timeless today.
The next time you reach for an artisanal brown butter chocolate chunk cookie from a bakery,
Or grab a mass-produced snack from a vending machine, or a homemade oatmeal raisin treat.
Cooling safely on a wire rack, remember that you are participating in a grand global tradition.
You are eating a food that has survived empires, wars, famines, and massive societal revolutions successfully.
You connect through this simple act to Persian traders, Moorish bakers, Dutch colonists, and American housewives.
Every human seeking comfort in something small, sweet, and simple shares this exact same culinary connection.
Cookies did not conquer the world by brutal force, but by fulfilling human needs perfectly. They succeeded in every era, every crisis, and every quiet moment when life felt overwhelming. When life felt too big, and we wanted something that finally made complete logical sense together.
They represent much more than food, serving as proof that smallest things have biggest impacts.
Accidents can become powerful legacies, proving that overlooked items often change the entire course of history.
That represents an enduring lesson worth savoring every single time you enjoy a sweet treat today.